On the first day of Christmas, Stone Brewing gave to me 12 days of IPAs. Hey there, folks. I am the Mighty Plantain. Thanks for checking out this video. And if one thing has gone right for me this year, I managed to get my hands on a 12-pack with 12 different beers in it. This is Stone Brewing's 12 Days of IPAs. I was hoping to get the Clown Shoes 12 beers of Christmas as well, but that's not going to make its way up here to Maine. So, yeah, we're going to check this one out. We're going to go Stone IPA. Well, here's what's in here, all right? Stone IPA, of course, their go-to, their main IPA. Stone Delicious IPA. Tangerine Express, Scorpion Bowl IPA, so far all winners. Fear Movie Lions Double IPA. Ruination Double IPA 2.0. This is their second iteration. They reformulated it at one point. Stone's Go-To IPA. Exotic Destinations IPA. I don't think I've had this one yet. Cosmic Runestone. I'm pretty sure I haven't had that one yet either. Sublimely Self-Righteous Black IPA. Oh, I can't wait to get down to that one. Soaring Dragon Imperial IPA. I don't believe I've had that yet either. And finishing off with Stone F+B IPA. Also one that I don't believe I've had yet. So 12 different beers. We're not doing these over 12 days. We're doing them tonight. Why? Because I'm fucking nuts. That's why. Nobody gonna put Zongo in a cage. See if you can spot that reference. I know at least one of you will get it. But yeah, we're gonna do all 12 of these in one night, and because of timing and scheduling and everything else, this being December 5th, we're doing it on the worst night possible. There is a huge winter storm raging here in Maine. Already over 80,000 people without power. Our lights have been flickering quite a bit, so could be doing this in the dark by the end of the video. We'll see how that works out. But this is my one night to do it. I want to do all 12. We've done these before. You guys love these videos. They get lots of views. One of the biggest reasons I'm pushing through and doing them all tonight. So that being said, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. We're not going to chug these down and get ourselves completely trashed, although by number 12, you're probably going to be laughing your ass off at my stupid ass. So, first things first, water. We will be hydrating in between beers. Not only is it a good idea to just stay hydrated in between beers, but also this is a great way to cleanse the palate. Granted, we're doing a bunch of IPAs. Normally, I would try to line these up on my own personal preference based on IBUs, ABV, and other factors. Instead, I'm just going straight through 1 to 12 as they've got them labeled on the box. I'm going to do what Stone wants me to do with this one. Number 2. Already down to NOS Turbo earlier, despite the fact that it's 6 o'clock at night when I started that. It's now 7:30, finished it off. So that's going to help me stay up through the night. I've got another one chilling in the fridge just in case I get a little drowsy after midnight. We'll see what happens there. And refried beans. Why? Because at some point I'm probably going to need something to help cut the buzz, and a can of refried beans will work perfectly. It's got a lot of volume, got a lot of absorption, and you know, all things being said, lentils are considered to be healthy carbs, right? Is there such a thing? 4 servings per can, 70 calories per serving. You're looking at about 280 calories. It's not a horrible snack as far as things go, with a lot of volume for pulling down that alcohol and kind of slowing things down. So, that's the strategy. Just so you don't think I'm doing this half-cocked and the stupid way. I think I've covered all the basics. We are at the starting line, and here we go. Stone IPA. Now, every beer in this pack has the Leave No Stone Unturned label gimmick here, where the label's upside down. It's a neat little gimmick. I like it. For those of you who don't know, the thought is, you know, when you're done drinking it, the bottle should be upside down because you're getting every last drop, and then the label's right side up. It's kind of neat. All right. Oh. I was going to read these, but they put the writing on the labels upside down too. All right, we're going to have to do this gently. So, for the regular IPA, we'd love to expound on how we're so incredibly proud that Stone helped grow the IPA style to be the most popular in craft beer around the world today. No fucking question about that. Everywhere you turn, it's all IPAs. Not that I have a problem with that. I like IPAs. Problem is that it's so prolific that people just drink IPAs for the sake of drinking IPAs without actually understanding what they're doing, why they like it. They're just being part of the crowd. And a lot of breweries are brewing a lot of IPAs just to meet that demand, and not all of them are worth keeping around. There's a lot of lackluster IPAs out there. But I digress. If not for the limited word count, we'd wax about the early days. That we'd take our van to the beach with our heavy metal poetry books and it cuts off right there. That's why I go to the trouble of reading the Stone labels. It's usually at least somewhat clever. I love these guys. Also have a spare battery for the GoPro sitting in the charger. Hopefully with a hot swap, I won't lose too much time. And with any luck, we'll keep the power going, but we'll see what happens there. All right, look at that. Stone IPA. Now, this is just a regular old IPA. Look how clear that is. Quite effervescent. A nice, slightly amber, honey-colored beer. Look at the head on that. I got a decent one going. That is beautiful. All those tiny little bubbles floating up there. Looks great. Let's look at the stats on this one. Iconic West Coast style IPA. Yep, 6.9% ABV. And I don't see the IBUs listed here, so chances are it's not going to be too heavy there. But nice general hoppy bitterness in the aroma. Maybe a hint of citrus. And it's almost got a roasty aroma to it. A little roasty. Nice, actually light mouthfeel for an IPA. There's a little bit of an oiliness to it, and not a bad thing. Just seems to like coat the tongue and get a little slick there. Easy drinking, a little crisp. Actually pretty refreshing, honestly. Goes down easy. There's a little bit of a malt backbone to it, and just a general roasty maltiness. And then all of a sudden you get a burst of hop flavor in the mouth. Overall hoppy bitterness, there is pine, there's hints of citrus, maybe a little earthiness. I'm primarily keyed towards pine and citrus, so I'm going to pick up on those first and foremost anyway. The fact that I'm getting a hint of earthiness to it as well is impressing me. Stone does some pretty solid IPAs. Their baseline IPA is good, like I said, for all the reasons I just mentioned, but it doesn't have a big wow factor. There's not a lot of flavors there that blow me away. It's just so well put together that it's almost perfectly balanced. I'm going to hit it with a 4 out of 5. And for the only points it's losing, again, is that uniqueness or that wow factor. Again, there's nothing I can point to that I can say is wrong with this beer or that I dislike about it. It's just a really good, above average IPA, well put together, just not out there, out there enough to go full on 5 out of 5. So that's number 1. We're going to finish this up and we are going to move on to Delicious IPA. They're all going to be delicious. All right, yeah, the Goofy Santa hat's not going to last through this whole thing. It is keeping my head warm, but, you know, one more thing to mess around with in between takes. So, Stone Delicious IPA. Whew, pardon. Might have gone through the first one a little too quick. Pacing's going to be important, so might get the first couple down pretty fast, and then we'll slow down as we get throughout the evening. But this one is a gluten-reduced citrusy IPA, 7.7% ABV. Not seeing the IBUs listed on this one either. And I could probably read this upside down, but it'll be easier to do this way. So, gluten-reduced citrusy lemon drop hops, tropical Eldorado hops, 7.7% ABV. This is just it's not one of their typical write-ups. It just says, crafted to remove gluten. This beer was fermented from barley, a grain containing gluten, and crafted to reduce gluten. The gluten content of this beer cannot be verified, and this beer may contain gluten. Okay, so basically, it ain't gluten-free, but it's the closest thing you're going to get that actually has some taste. I shouldn't say that. Glutenberg and Omission both make some really great gluten-free beers. Not that I'm concerned about it. Obviously, take one look at me. You know I enjoy my gluten-loaded foods, but for those of you that it is a concern, some options. And of course, as the label says, if you must be completely gluten-free, this beer might not be for you, but it does have a reduced content. All right, so ooh, slightly, I don't know. It seems like it's slightly darker because it has more of an orangish hue than that last one, but it's also slightly hazy. Pardon, first one's coming up quick. But it also looks like it has more of a golden color down here where there's less beer. So, different color, a little bit more hazy, less effervescent, definitely a lot fewer bubbles coming up through there. Yeah, like a bit of an orangish hue up here, but then a lighter yellow down there. Interesting. Huh, did they start writing on the inside of their bottle caps? Oh no, just leave no stone unturned in their website. Okay, didn't know if I was missing something, wanted to make sure. Has more of an aroma than the last one. And oddly enough, even though there's fewer bubbles coming up from that nucleation point in the bottom of the glass, there's actually more of them popping and like tickling my nostrils. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I sound like a complete nutcase, but whatever. It is what it is. I don't know, it might just be my imagination with those tropical Eldorado hops, but I'm almost getting a hint of coconut underneath citrus. Medium light mouthfeel, got a little more body than the regular IPA. I'm going to stop doing this because if I try to compare each one to all the ones beforehand, I'm going to be doing an hour-long review on the last beer alone. So I'll try to be cognizant of that. Yeah, a bit of a medium light mouthfeel. The hops hit you right up front. But it changes after you swallow. Up front, you're getting a nice mouthful of hoppy bitterness. Without a lot of distinct character at first. But then after you swallow and you let a little airflow come through on the palate, distinctly pine, and maybe a slight hint of coconut in the finish, but not nearly that. I was getting just a hint of coconut off of the aroma, but in the flavor, I'm getting even less. So that's, again, it could just be my imagination. But yeah, I'm mostly getting pine off of that. Maybe some hints of grassiness, very, very faint hints of grassiness. Again, delicious. Delicious, but nothing crazy or stand out. This is another solid 4 out of 5. Now, I'll try to say this only once on this video, but on a scale of 1 to 5, a 2.5 is average. So even a 3.5 or a 3 is a good above average beer. A 4 is decently above average. So don't forget that. But another solid 4. I mean, other than the 4 that I haven't had before, I knew this was a pack full of winners. But we'll see how this bears out over the course of the evening. Yeah, I'm going to finish this one up, and then we move on to Tangerine Express. That one I've had more recently. All right, we are about 40 minutes in, and about to grab beer number 3. So 2 beers in 40 minutes. That pace is not going to be sustainable, let me tell you that for sure. At some point, these are going to start hitting me harder, and the wife would fucking kill me if I didn't slow down. She's going to have enough to deal with if I eat that whole can of beans later anyway. So, next up is Stone's Tangerine Express IPA. Now, this was included in the Tropical Getaway. It was included in a summer mix pack that they had with several IPAs, including one that was named for the pack, which I don't think is in here. But Tangerine Express was in the summer mix pack that they put out with 4 different IPAs, including Scorpion Bowl. But anyway, again, I digress. Tangerine Express Hazy IPA. This is a hazy India Pale Ale with tangerine and pineapple, 6.7% ABV. And I'm not seeing the IBU rating. I could have sworn that Stone usually put the IBU ratings on their IPAs, but maybe not. We're going to gently roll this so that we can read it, because I can read upside down, but again, by the time I'm done with this, I'll be stumbling over my words anyway, so I don't want to sound completely stupid. All right, a tropical hazy IPA with tangerine and pineapple. This creation's uniquely hazy appearance is a credit to the glorious whole tangerine puree in every batch. All right. Using the whole fruit allows us to harness every bit of its natural depth of character. Pithy, crisp bitterness complements its distinct juicy citrus. Just the right amount of pineapple and, this being Stone, a whole lot of hops round off this beer in an amazingly hazily, citrusy, tasty paradise of flavors and aromas. See, already I tipped that back right side up a little too aggressively. One of the reasons that I always tap the top of the bottle before I open it is because if it does get slightly shaken, tapping the top of the bottle or the top of the can, it actually creates, it knocks some of the bubbles off the side of the container, which will create a nucleation point for more bubbles, and it actually reduces the pressure inside there because those bubbles are able to evaporate and nucleate with each other instead of exploding out of the container when you open it. Now, that's not a guarantee that somebody, does the Bart Simpson thing, sticks a can of soda in a beer in a paint mixer and a couple of taps will solve the problem. Don't trust it. But for gently shaken beers, it can make a difference. All right. That is certainly more hazy than any beer in this pack so far. Ooh, ho. Not just hazy, but I'm actually seeing flocculation there. I'm seeing particulates suspended in the beer. So it's hazy, but it's also chunky, for lack of a better word. A lot of the haziness, sometimes you see haziness that's caused by hop oils or other ingredients in the beer. This is primarily, not solely, but primarily caused by chunks of particulate matter, in this case, tangerine puree, floating in there. They mention it right on the bottle. But it does have an overall nice yellowish color, which turns to a slightly orangish color up here where the beer gets thicker. Now, for the longest time, I had a big issue with beers that have flecks and flocks in them and particulates. I still kind of do. I don't like seeing particulates in my beer, and that's a personal thing. It doesn't. I can't escape the thought that there's going to be chunkiness to it when I actually drink it, and this goes all the way back to the days of Orbits. Anybody remember Orbits? It's one of the few products that hasn't experienced a revival these days, which is probably a good thing. But Orbits was basically it was a funky shaped bottle full of flavored water, read syrup. It was loaded with sugar and flavoring, and it was basically slightly syrupy, but the syrupiness made it dense enough that they could put little gelatin balls in it and they would float around and be neutrally buoyant. So you had all these little gelatin balls. And so you drank the syrupy water. It was overly sweet, tasted pretty decent, but then you got these chunky gelatin balls in it. It was just fucking nasty as an experience overall. I mean, the taste wasn't that bad, but just bleh, chunks in my water that was already pretty thick. I don't know. It wasn't pleasant, but that's the mental image I always get when I see hazy beers with particulates in them. And I have gotten better about this over the years because I have had so many of them. I realize that it's not going to be chunky when I drink it, but that mental image is still there. Anyway. It's an interesting aroma. I'm not getting a big burst of hoppiness. It's kind of like a low-key hoppy bitterness. But they mentioned the pithy, I think was the word they used, and it's appropriate, of tangerine. It's like when you get canned apricots or canned peaches, and there's that skin, that slight bit of skin still on them, and it has an odd, bitter, fruity flavor to it that's not unpleasant, not pleasant. It's kind of neutral, but it's just different. I'm getting an aroma of that in this beer. Bit of sweetness, bit of citrusiness, and then an overall hoppy bitterness underlying it all very faintly. Nice medium light mouthfeel. Up front, a lot of tangerine. Fades to a hint of pineapple with that slightly sour yet sweet flavor. And then this burst of hoppy bitterness comes through afterwards. Yep, tangerine, pineapple, hops. It's good. There's an odd bit of that same slightly fruit skin bitterness in the finish. And again, not an unpleasant thing, just different. This one's a solid 4.5 for me. I think because it's got some different flavors that I'm not used to getting in a beer. Something tells me that by the end of this, I'll have rated them all a 4 at least, maybe some higher. And beer taste is subjective, so I'm allowed to change these ratings from something I may have given the same beer before. That's the beautiful thing about beer. It's subjective. Sometimes it's the mood you're in. Sometimes it's the setting. Sometimes it's just the time and place. I was going to say that's the same as setting. Sometimes it's just your general attitude towards life at any given point in time. And other times it's the overall experience of drinking a fucking 12-pack of IPAs with 12 different beers in it. Something tells me I'm going to wind up rounding these out, and they're going to be pretty... There's not going to be much of a curve in the grading, I'm thinking at this point. But, again, in the moment, that's how I'm feeling. That's the experience I'm having. And this one is sitting at a 4.5 because it's distinguishing itself from a couple of other really solid above-average beers by having those different fruit flavors and that really, really odd... I think they said pithy, but that slightly bitter fruit skin flavor that's not unpleasant. It's just different. Anyway, it's become obvious to me that I am indeed getting buzzed, even though I don't necessarily feel like I am. I've noticed the change in my behavior and my rambling. So, something to keep an eye on. Pardon. At least the gassiness has dispersed. I'm not burping as much as I was during the first two, so we'll see how that goes. Haven't broken the seal yet either. Not that you want to know that or are keeping track of it, but for the record, we're 2 1/4 beers down. We'll see how long that lasts, because I actually have that full NOS, soda, and some water in my system, so... We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to finish this one up, and we are going to move on to Scorpion Bowl. See, some of these I've had recently, and I know what to look forward to. Others have been a little while, but I also know what to look forward to. That's the great thing about this pack. I'm looking at them like Scorpion Bowl. Oh, wait, then Fear Movie Line. Oh, and then Ruination. Ruination. And I'm like, okay, well, after Ruination, it's peaked, but then we've got To IPA. That one, kind of, hey. After that, though, we've got two unknowns, as far as I can remember. And then the Sublimely Self-Righteous Black IPA, which is fucking amazing. Again, we'll talk about it more. And then Soaring Dragon and F+B, which I think are new to me as well. Anyway, see what I said? I said I was going to pay more attention to my segues and digressions, and then I just listed like more than half the beers in the pack for you again, even though we did that at the top of the video. Anyway. All right, a little more than an hour in here, and oh, by the way, we're up to 144,000 customers, without power in the state. I think we were at 80,000 when I started this video, so that's a pretty shitty storm. My God, have we gotten lucky here, because, well, we're just lucky right now. Anyway. Scorpion Bowl IPA. I'm not talking anymore about the other thing, because the minute I start running my mouth, my luck's going to run out. This is a punch to the stinger, 7.5% ABV. And once again, no IBUs listed on the label. All right, I'm not worrying too much about it. Gently. A punch to the stinger. For this ale to have landed in your hands, it has survived a rather exotic journey. It began, as these things do, far, far away in an untamed land where desert isles and seafaring traders' caravans alike evoke dreams of purple sands and mysterious flora swallowed and hidden by fathom upon fathom of never-ending sea. Sorry, I stumbled there a little bit. And so it was there, where the ancient ritual drums could be heard past the tropic sands and deep in the jungle, that we found this recipe sealed with a scorpion's kiss. Midnight poetry whispered on the breeze of this mystical libation. My moon and my sun, my fairest one, a liquid dream of delight to awaken in the night. It is also warned, however, that betwixt the ripples of the Scorpion Bowl, mingled midway on the waves, one can hear the wailing of a lamenting lover, lost to the ancestral voices, measureless to mankind, and here you stand, seeking kismet, answering love's command. You've gotten this far and find yourself wondering if scorpions indeed do kiss. As true as the stars and the moon, yes, yes, they do. With bittersweet tropical poetry, they kiss just for you. Yeah, I'm never disappointed by reading a Stone label. Some of them are a little more elaborate than others, and that's a delight. This particular one. Now, if I remember correctly, this is very much a delicious tropical and complexly flavorful beer. I told the story when I first drank it of how, my buddies and I used to get together, Boosh, EM Destroyer, Ryan, for Scorpion Bowls at our favorite Chinese restaurant back in the day, but I will not reiterate that. This is slightly hazy, not very effervescent, but it does have a fairly uniform orangish gold color, but look at that head. I got a halfway decent one on there, especially considering how little effervescence I'm seeing from the beer, but the bubbles, the foam itself actually is taking on a bit of the yellowish hue. So whatever's causing this particular color is actually translating into the foam, the bubbles, which is different. Doesn't always happen. Slightly neutral aroma, but I am getting up front some tropical feel to it. Like slightly citrusy and fruity, hint of coconut in the aroma, and then it fades to an overall hoppy bitterness. But those are very, very subtle aromas. Overall, it's mostly neutral. I'm really having to concentrate hard to pick up those aromas. Or maybe I'm just getting burnt out on all the hoppy beers that I've had so far. Like I said, I've been cleansing the palate with water in between, but that does nothing for your nose. I shouldn't say it does nothing. It does less for your nose. Damn. Yeah. Yep. I'm remembering this one now. It was also in I had a big bomber bottle of it when it first came out, and it was also included in the same mix pack that Tangerine Express was this summer. And it was a welcome addition to that because I was glad to see it again. Not that I couldn't just pick up another bomber anytime I wanted to, but the fact that it was included in a mix pack I was planning on buying anyway was just extra incentive to buy it. Yep. Oh. I am getting hints of tropical fruit. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel. I don't know if I mentioned Tangerine Express had a medium light mouthfeel, had a bit of body to it, but this one has a nice medium mouthfeel. Overall, just a lot of complex, fruity, hoppy, bittery flavors. It's hard to pick anything out. But I mentioned those Scorpion Bowls before. The Scorpion Bowl, picked up at most Chinese restaurants, is a big-ass bowl full of booze with a little bit of fruit juice added, with mostly tropical flavors. It is slightly reminiscent of that, because I'm getting complex, fruity flavors with tropical overtones, different types of tropical fruit, maybe a hint of coconut, but then a lot of complex hoppy flavors too. I know, I'm speaking very vaguely, but it's hard to separate the different components of what I'm tasting. Pardon. And there's definitely some coconut in there somewhere. Some pine, some citrus, some earthy and grassy tones, a hint of floral in the finish as well in terms of hop notes. So I'm getting a lot of the different hop esters that you would expect from a good hop blend. And just this general tropical fruit and coconut flavor. Other than the coconut, no particular fruit notes coming forward. Maybe a hint of pineapple, but that could be related to the citrus. But I'm also getting distinctly citrusy, fruity flavors versus citrusy, hoppy flavors, and there's a slight distinction. Overall, it's just so good, well put together, and complex that I can't really separate different particular notes. And the fact that I'm getting all of these different things all at once is what makes this just a great beer overall. Like sharing the Scorpion Bowl with the buds back in the day, this beer is just something you really can't express in words. The overall experience is just amazing, and it's something I'd love to keep doing all the time. So this one, as I believe I've rated it before, maybe not, is a full 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, part of it is the mental image that it conjures for me of those pleasant memories. But again, a big part of it is the complexity of the brew itself, the complexity of the flavors, the fact that I'm getting a rotating selection of flavors, most of the major hop notes that I normally get, plus those vaguely exotic fruit and coconut flavors. Just, this beer, hands down, is amazing. And that's the full wow 5 out of 5 experience for me. So, finish this one up. Hopefully we'll still have light to film by. I know, I keep talking about the pacing, and the pacing is not developing the way it should. I should be slowing down. And look at this one. I haven't even finished talking about it. I'm halfway down. But anyway, after this we will pick up Fear Movie Lions Double IPA. That one should slow my ass down. This one obviously isn't. Alright, well, after 4 beers, I just had to break the seal. Yes, for most of you, that was too much information. For the rest of you following along with your Mighty Plantain bingo card, that's broke the seal after 4 beers. Mark it off. I'm just kidding. None of you are playing that fucking game. It's sad, pathetic, and lonely. Also, just for the record, we're up to 159,000 people without power. By the way, my wife's been keeping track with me. Appreciate that. The Lady Plantain riding shotgun tonight. Like I said, timing and scheduling meant this was probably my one chance to get this done before Christmas. And she has very, very boldly decided to hang out and let me do this while she's awake and hanging out, because she unfortunately had to miss work today. Yeah. Interesting times we live in with this virus. But that's a completely different story. FML in general. Yes, FML, Fear Movie Lions, is our next stone brew. It's an unfiltered double IPA, 8.5% ABV. Well, 4 beers in and an hour and a half. This should be the one that slows me down, because it is, I believe, the heaviest one so far. Scorpion Bowl, Yeah, it's a full 1% ABV higher than any beer I've had so far, with Scorpion Bowl, the last one, being a 7.5, the next highest. Oh no, sorry, Delicious was 7.7. So anyway, we really need to slow down after this one. I know I keep saying that and not doing it, but I'm going to regret it if I don't listen to myself. Because I can already tell. What's that?
I said you're rambling.
Thanks for the reminder. I picked up on that too, but I appreciate the feedback. Yes, I am rambling. You guys know that too. But anyway, yeah, here we go with the Enjoy Fresh, blah, blah, blah. Still not seeing the IBUs listed. I swear, on a lot of previous Stone brews, they had them listed. But I could just be talking on my ass right now. That's entirely possible. Like I haven't been since the beginning of the video, but anyway. Fear Movie Lions FML Double IPA, an unfiltered double IPA. There's a 3 meter by 3 meter square in our Richmond, Virginia brewery with these 3 words painted on it. What 3 words? Exactly. For the uninitiated, that's what 3 words? Capital W, number 3, capital W. What 3 words? It's a global addressing system to bring locations to the previously unlocatable. Inspired by the positive impact of this system, we decided to name this IPA after a 3 meter square in the brewery where it was created. Check it out. So now, when someone says to you, what 3 words, you can reply with your own answer. If it's / capital F fear dot space, capital M movie dot space, capital L lions, comma, we'll see you here. So, I'm sure there's more to that story than what we're seeing on this label. It sounds like it's some kind of location system, and they saw an FML in the brewery. Hey, I don't know. I'll look into it later. But I think all of us this year, 2020, can relate to the FML appellation, and we'll just go with that. Hell, anytime I've had an FML moment, this beer would be the perfect companion. Yes, I have had it before. I've remarked about this. Holy crap, I got a decent head on that, and look how hazy and flocculent that is. I mean, unfiltered from Stone, you know there's a lot of shit in there that's floating around. But look at those tiny little particles. It's like, I don't know. I already talked about my thoughts on beers with particulates in them. But this one somehow overcomes all of those feelings I have, and I actually get excited about this one. And maybe it's the fact that it's tiny, tiny little particles. Maybe it's the fact that I can see how hazy it is without those particles in there. It's still a hazy beer, so it's got both going for it. Maybe it's the fact that this is one of the few beers other than stouts and porters where it looks like it gets completely opaque. Like, ever since DJ Fingers, thank you, by the way, suggested doing this light under the glass thing and actually demonstrated how it would look when we did a couple reviews together. Ever since he did that, very, very few beers have no light glowing from the side of the glass up here other than, darker beers like stouts and IPAs. But if you look here, there is no light coming through. It looks like if I just held this up with the overhead lighting. So, something is diffusing all the light down here. I know my finger keeps slipping off of that, so you're seeing the blinking. But that nice amber gold color is just amazing. And like I said, there's a little bit of effervescence, just a very few bubbles coming up through, but it did retain the head that I managed to put on it. Okay, visually it's an amazing beer. Pardon. You don't drink that many beers that fast. Well, it's not that fast, but, you know, relatively speaking, in terms of ABV and such. Anyway, some of the other beers are coming up on me all at once, so there's going to be a lot of burping in this video. But you knew that. If you've seen any of these before, you knew that. Even if you've only seen like my 6-pack beer reviews and my 4-pack, or my 6 varieties and 4 variety beer reviews, you knew that. Wow, I am getting way off in the weeds. I really need to rein that in, which means slow the fuck down. Okay. Now that I've had that little internal/external monologue, it's visually all those things I described and spent all those words on, but then when I get a good whiff of it, aromatically, there's not much to talk about. This is a very neutral smelling beer. Maybe a hint of graininess and an after effect of sweetness. Which for me to take a Stone IPA and talk about the malty character of the aroma, that's really, really odd to me. I've seen this in other beers before, though. That doesn't necessarily indicate that the hoppiness didn't translate into the beer itself. It just means that it has a very neutral aroma, which is blowing my mind. I'm going to have to go back and look at my review of FML just to see if the same thing happened to me the first time around. Yes, I do go back and look at them sometimes. But there's definitely hop esters in that flavor. Up front, with a nice medium mouthfeel. There's almost this weird sweet hoppiness to it. Wow, that's weird. I like I said again, I've got to go back and look at my first review of this beer because tonight's experience is not not what I was expecting here. It's odd. Smaller sips. I gotta slow down. Like I said, there's this weird, like almost sweet, syrupy, yet bitter and hoppy flavor that's coming through up front. Like a maple hoppiness. Or sugary or molasses hoppiness. I don't know if that makes any fucking sense because I've never heard any hop variety described as having a maple or sugary or syrupy or molassesy character, but there's this weird like brown sugar hoppiness up front. And then it turns into almost a cacophony, where did I pull that word from, of hop esters. I'm getting everything. I mean, earthy and floral balanced with pine and citrus, and then hints of dankness and a little bit of grassiness. It's just everything all at once. Now, the reason I say everything all at once is because every time I take a sip, I'm getting different notes first, followed up by other notes. You know, like the grassy up front, and then a little bit of citrus, then some pine, and then some earthiness and dankness. But then in the next sip, I'm getting those same things in different orders. So this one's really messing with me. Now I got to hit this with a 5 out of 5 as well. just because of the experience overall. It's just rotating, it's evolving as I taste it. It's messing with my head because it's not the same sip of beer each time. So, again, I seriously need to re-watch my previous review of this beer and see if I had the same experience, because who knows? It could be the fact that I've had these other 4 IPAs before this, and it's influencing my tastes. That yes, I have been still cleansing with water in between beers, but they could be interfering and throwing me off. I don't know. It's a great damn beer, but that's another 5 out of 5. I'm gonna finish this one up. Slowing the fuck down here. Let's try to take at least half an hour to finish what's here. At least half an hour. Slow sips. Because I can already see myself getting too fucked up to finish. I don't want to do that. I know, sometimes you guys love watching me get drunk off my ass, but I don't think it's that as entertaining or as informative as me being cognizant throughout the entire video. But anyway, we'll see how it pans out. Either way, hopefully enjoy it. But we're going to finish this up, pacing it, and we're going to move on to Ruination is next. 8.5%, same ABV as this one. I'll try to avoid redoing this whole comparison thing, but it's 8.5% ABV, and it's a double IPA, the second iteration of Ruination. Ruination is just a fucking hop bomb. How well timed was that belch, if anyone could be? But I am looking forward to Ruination. I really am. And I can't remember the name of it, but I know they're starting to release Ruin 10 as an annual release. It got a different name, but Ruin 10 is Ruination times fucking 10, and it's amazing. Ruination's good. Alright, enough of that. I'm going to finish this up. We're going to get to Ruination. We will talk about Ruination, and I will try to avoid these segues. I say that, but they're probably only going to get worse. But you knew that going in. Alright, it is 10:20 in the evening, and we still have power. How fucking lucky are we? Folks, this is a huge nor'easter, and what happens is, again, here's a segue. In terms of power loss, there's a couple of things that cause this problem here in Maine. Snow and ice on the power lines weigh them down and snap them. Also, there's tree branches. They get weighed down by snow and ice. Now, the tree branches come down, whack the power lines, they're done for. Out. I mean, we've got poles down around us. Seriously, I've been watching Facebook. We got poles down, up our main road, down our main road. We've been very fucking lucky here at the Plantain household that we have not lost power, because people all around us are losing it. And normally that's a key. Boom! Within a couple of minutes, ours is gone. So lucky tonight. Maybe this is a charmed beer review. Maybe we're so lucky because I decided to do this. Maybe, I don't know. Doubtful. But anyway, my folks in Springfield, Missouri will remember this from 13 years ago with the big ice storm. The tree branches get weighed down by the snow and ice, and they knock out the power. Things get fixed. The tree branches, when the temperature increases again, start to melt, and the snow and ice come off of them, and they snap back, and they take out the power again. You guys remember that shit from the ice storm? You folks in Maine and a decent portion of New England will remember this from several years before that, like 99, 2000, big ice storms. Anyway, widespread outages. So we've been lucky here tonight. Fingers crossed that we continue to stay lucky and we get through the rest of this 12 pack. All right, that's the segue for this. I'm going to shut up. Well, wait. No, I'm not. Because this is Ruination 2.0. And I got a few side quests to go on here when talking about this beer. I will try to keep this shit to a minimum, but this is Ruination 2.0. And I still can't remember what Ruin 10's new name is, but I should have done this before opening it, like I have with the others, but whatever. Unfiltered Double IPA, 8.5% ABV. Sans filter. Yeah, okay. Oh, maybe that's the difference between Ruination 1 and Ruination 2 is the filtration. No. Still no IBU listing here. And now, because this is open and I don't want to dribble beer remnants, I'm going to read it sideways instead of upside down. But Ruination Double IPA 2.0 sans filter, always unbridled, now unfiltered. That is the difference between Ruination and Ruination 2.0 is the filtration. Stone Ruination IPA was the first full-time brewed and bottled West Coast Double IPA on the planet. Nice. As craft beer has evolved over the years, so too have techniques for maximizing hop flavors and aromas. When we updated this incarnation in 2015, okay, yeah, anything we've had since 2015 rings a bell, we employed dry hopping and hop bursting to squeeze every... Oh, hop bursting. That's a technique I'm not familiar with. Anyway, to squeeze every last drop of piney, citrusy, tropical, punk, metal, and hard rock essence from the hops that give this beer its hugely assertive character. Now, we've arrived at its newest evolutionary form by shoving it into the bottle unfiltered, aka sans filtre, and bringing it to you at its most excellently raw form. This beer has always been unbridled, now it's unfiltered. I tell you what, just hot swapped the battery, by the way, just for the record, and there's a little dribble left there. Ruination 2.0. I gotta say, I'm okay with this being unfiltered. I talked earlier in the video about my feelings versus filtered versus unfiltered beers and particulates, etc. So I'm not going to reiterate that right now. Pardon. This is one of the first beers that turned me on to unfiltered and just coming to accept that. Look at that. That is hazy as hell. Obviously unfiltered. Sorry, the hiccups are trying to burst through here. But not a lot of particulates coming up through there. It's mostly just a completely cloudy and hazy beer. It's not very effervescent. There are no bubbles coming up from that nucleation point down there. But it looks, the haziness looks oily. Come on, it's a very heavily hopped beer. Obviously, it's going to be oily because it's hop oils. But a nice golden, slightly orangish, slightly amber color up here. Golden amber. It's a good looking beer, even if it's very stable and not very effervescent. Now, again, the next iteration of Ruination escapes me. Ruination 2.0 is the unfiltered version, but there's also Ruin 10, which was an anniversary brew from Stone, and they recently announced that Ruin 10 pounds of hops per barrel versus, I think, 1 pound of hops per barrel in Ruination. But Ruin 10 is going to become a regular brew, and I can't remember the name, but they renamed it. Not 100% related to Ruination, but just a little side note there. Oh, that's hoppy. There's an overall hoppy bitterness. It's on such a deep, rich, and if a scent could be sticky, there's a stickiness to that scent. That's just an overall rich hoppy bitterness. There's nothing, no particular notes coming forward. It's just hoppy and bitter and delicious smelling. Still at a level of a medium mouthfeel. So it's not too heavy, not too light. It's just right there, nice in the middle. Medium mouthfeel. And right up front, a punch of hoppy bitterness. Just a mouthful of hops. As it fades, I start to get earthy notes. And like I mentioned before in the video, I'm primarily keyed towards citrus and pine, so anytime I get something other than citrus and pine, I'm impressed. But as that initial punch of hoppy bitterness fades, I get earthy notes. Floral finish. Earthy and floral finish. Earthy up front, floral finish. But there's also notes of pine, grassy, citrusy, and this distinct underlying dankness to the whole thing. And there's an overall sense of like a tea, like a blended cold brewed tea. Doesn't make sense, I know. But it's like if you took a nice cold brewed tea and tossed a bunch of hops in there to get the same esters, this is what you'd get. This is another 5 out of 5 for me. Ruination is initially named because it's going to ruin your palate. Which means I probably should have saved it for last, but I didn't. We're going to be heavily cleansing with water in between here. Now I've been doing probably 8 to 12 ounces of water in between beers. This one I'm probably going to go at least 20. By the way, for those keeping track, it is 10:34 in the evening, which means that between Scorpion Bowl and Ruination, I'm not doing the math, but it's been longer than it was between any of these other previous beers, so. And a decent amount of water. Like I said, 8 to 12 ounces. But this one's going to take even longer because we have got to seriously cleanse with water and take our time with this beer. This is a 5 out of 5, if I didn't mention it before. Full on, because I'm getting up front hop esters that I'm not used to getting up front. I usually get citrus and pine, and this one I'm getting the earthy notes. And the fact that it is so well balanced, so hoppy, but I'm still getting hints of the different hop esters, all of them. Well, all of them that I typically look for. Earthy, floral, citrus, pine, grassy and dank, it's all there, but just in this overwhelming burst of hops. An amazing beer. Anyway, I'm going to finish this one up. I need to, again, slow down and take my time. But when I'm done with this, we're going to go to Stone's Go-To IPA. 4.7% ABV, so we will be cutting back temporarily because next ones are 7.5, 7.3, and 8.7, then 8, and then 4. So we'll be finishing with a lower one, but we're cutting back temporarily with Go-To before we start ramping it back up continuously. Ramping back up, and then we slowly go back down with the last two. Anyway, who cares? Delicious beers. All right. Next. Okay. We have passed the halfway point here. We are now up to Stone's Go-To IPA. A vibrant, hop-bursted session IPA. 4.7% ABV. Nice. Starting to slow down. I know, I ran through these earlier. We're going to pick back up before this is over. But at least we're running downhill now. Or at least the next few beers. Still no IBUs listed. Still surprised by that, but gently here. Stone Go-To IPA, a vibrant hop-bursted session IPA. Since day one, we've been abundantly forthright and fully transparent about our lust for hops. Oh shit, we've all seen that. It's led us to craft many an IPA, most of them Imperial, some intense, for their time and all timeless in their intensity. For Stone Go-To IPA, we are embracing our hop obsession in a new way, funneling an abundance of lupulin-born bitterness into a session IPA, delivering all the fruity, piney character of a much bigger IPA. To accomplish this, we employed hop bursting, hinted at in other beers here. A technique wherein an irrational amount of hops is added during the final phase of the brewing process to coax out extreme flavors and aromas while also imparting a burst of desirably pleasant bitterness. The result is an alpha acid-rich beer that you can enjoy more of without missing out on the assertive hop character you, like us, crave. So sit back and go to TWO, by the way, with your new everyday Go-To IPA and bask along with us in the glory of the almighty hop. Well, nothing more to be said about that. Ooh, that's got some bubbles on it. Very foamy, quite effervescent, more so than the last couple of beers we've had, but also clear, not hazy. It's It's got a very nice golden yellow color to it. Just slightly toasty golden yellow color to it. But look at them. Small amounts of bubbles coming up. And that head is maintaining the same golden yellow color as the beer itself. That says something. It's not hazy at all. Completely clear. There are no particulates or hop oils in there. That's looking very, very nice. And at what, 4 point something? 4.7% versus the 8.5 of Ruination. This is a nice slowdown for us in terms of ABV. It's got a very hoppy and bitter aroma. But there's an underlying dankness to it with an almost sulfurous overtone. Now, I say sulfurous and you guys think fart smell, but this is going to be very difficult to articulate, but it is the most pleasant aroma of sulfurousness that you've ever picked up on. It's sulfurous. It stinks, but in some way it's somehow pleasant as well. That's the best I can do to describe it. It stinks in a pleasant way. We're going to go with that. Back to a medium light mouthfeel. And a surprisingly crisp character. Decent malt backbone. Overall hoppiness, distinctly hoppy. Again, that slight sulfurousness in the flavor, but it still tends towards a nice, earthy flavor. Earthy, slightly metallic, followed up by an overall just general bitter hoppiness. I really need to review the video the first time I had this beer, but I'm dropping this down compared to the others to excuse me. 3.5. 3.5 out of 5. As I said at the top of the video, 2.5 is average on a 1 to 5 scale. So, 3.5 being significantly above it, average. Sorry, the gases are coming back up here. It's not a bad beer. It's just not blowing me away with anything in particular. I like it. It would be a go-to IPA for me. I think I said that in my first review of it. I don't remember where I rated it and what particular taste notes, aroma notes, and appearance notes I made. Which is why I'd have to go back through and look at the video again. But in comparison to what I've been doing tonight and in regards to the overall experience tonight, I talked about that at the top of the video as well. Right now, this is a 3.5 out of 5. Not bad. Above average for sure, but just above average. We're going to finish this bad boy off, and then we will move on to the exotic destinations. Oh shit, we're going to start moving back up in ABV for a little while. But exotic destinations is a new one for me. Well, here we are. Full can of refried beans, tons of shredded cheese. And dropping that buzz. It's going to help, but it ain't completely going to do the trick. Hey, you think you can do better? Be my guest. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep on trucking. We'll hit up the next beer when this is gone. Exotic Destinations awaits. But, you know, we got to slow down. It's 15 minutes after midnight. You do the math on my previous check-ins. I don't think we're doing too bad, all things considered, time-wise. Well, the beans did not help as much as I thought they would, and yep. That's enough said about that. Look, we're on the tail end of this thing after 7 beers, and it's all downhill from here, one way or another. So, that being said, we are looking at Stone Exotic Destinations IPA. 7.5% ABV, so it is higher than the go-to at 4.7. So we're back on an uphill, kind of, because after this we're doing a 7.3%, then an 8.7%, then we're dropping back down to 8%, 4%. So a little bit of curve to go here. Wow, that should make it obvious what state of mind I am in right now. But I am working to combat that. I am slowing the fuck down. Seriously, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning right now, which I think is an hour, 45 minutes, at least 30 minutes since the last beer, which is spaced out better than the last couple. But honestly, not ideal for my state of mind right now. Anyway, here we go. Exotic Destinations IPA is a hop-fueled journey at 7.5% ABV. Yes, I'm reading this part upside down. Again, not seeing the IBUs listed, so very gently turning it upside down here. Hop-fueled journey. Close your eyes. Well, not yet, in parentheses. Picture your ideal place. Oh, that is not video appropriate for YouTube anyway. Maybe it's a beach with pale sand, clear water, and no one else in sight. Something along those lines. Could be a serene forest filled with only the sound of the wind in the branches. It might be a balcony overlooking a picturesque cityscape or cliff top overlooking a ragged valley of rock formations. So close, you guys, and yet so fucking far away. The hops known as Citra and HBC 692 are your concierges on this journey, bringing along vivid notes of tropical fruit, tangerine, and berry. Hops are capable of some amazing things, yes they are, and so is your imagination. Ho ho! Pardon. You guys have no fucking clue. Are you ready? Are you? Fill your glass, let its rim and aroma rise to meet you, and now close your eyes. I am not going to let my imagination run wild here, because then I will talk about things that will quickly get me banned from YouTube. I'm not going to close my eyes, because between the cold air around me that's making me shiver and shake throughout this entire fucking video, I'm sure you noticed that, the alcohol in my system, which is slowly shutting down my nervous system, and other factors, closing my eyes would be pretty fucking dangerous right now. It might be a one-way trip. So, to sleepy time, that is. And I do not want to fall asleep before I finish these beers. So, clink, 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 clink. It's the one problem with lining them up so close together is they clink together in a musical cacophony of the cry of wounded soldiers. That is slightly hazy, but overall quite golden in color. A bit of a honey hue to it. Not much effervescence. I'm not seeing a lot of bubbles coming up from the bottom. But yeah, nice honey-colored, golden-hued beverage that is actually kind of shiny. Not a word I would typically associate with the appearance of a beer, but I would call this one shiny gold. Bit of a neutral aroma. Yeah, definitely neutral. Way down there, a slight hint of a roasty, hoppy aroma, but again, it's not very obvious. Now, we're also this is our 8th IPA in a row here, with Ruination being only 2 back. So, even though I have been cleansing with 12 to 16 ounces of water in between beers, my palate is still pretty much overwhelmed at this point, including the soft palate, which is involved in aromas, detection of aromas, and anything nasal, gastro, whatever. They're going to be overwhelmed by the same hop esters that overwhelm your sense of smell and taste regardless. So, anyway, just putting that out there. But there is a slightly roasty with a tail end of a very slightly savory, salty, herb savory aroma. Another medium mouthfeel beer. It's got some distinct body to it. Savory. That is interesting. Sorry, sudden chill. 64 degrees in here and the heat hasn't kicked on in a while, so it's chilly. Jesus, I can't stop touching it apparently when I flick my hand here and there. Clink, 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 clink. It's definitely different and interesting. I read the label, right? Yeah. It's very weird. I'm getting an almost salty, savory and meaty flavor to it. It's, I don't know, I'm hesitating here because I'm about to say some stuff that I didn't think I would ever say about a stone brew. It's somewhat off-putting, actually. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a beef broth beer. And I'm not hating it entirely, but pardon, it is somewhat off-putting, and I'm just not digging it. I mean, maybe it's palate overload from these other beers, but that somewhat savory aroma comes in, and then, like I said, it's a nice medium mouthfeel beer, but it's like a somewhat hoppy beef broth. There's something salty, savory, and meaty about the flavor. And then it's like the juice from beef flavored ramen noodles that just fades to this overall hoppy bitterness. And it's not, I'm not going to throw up. I'm not turned off. I'm not going to not finish this beer because I'm definitely going to drink the whole thing. But it just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a stone brew this one's actually getting a 2 out of 5 from me. Something about the flavor and the taste just isn't sitting right, and it's savory yet not savory. I mean, it's got that savory flavor to it, but it just doesn't work. Yeah, 2 out of 5. It's not something I would go for ever again if given the choice. As a matter of fact, if I bought this 12-pack again, I would put this one aside and save it for last. Yeah, Exotic Destinations is not quite tickling my fancy, and I hope that Cosmic Runestone, Soaring Dragon, and F+B do better than this one, because it's just, it ain't working for me. 2 out of 5 for that. I'm still going to drink it and finish it up because this fucking pack cost me almost $30. $27 tax, deposit, cost of the beer. So for $30, yes, I am going to finish each and every one of these. So even if I do slow down. But hey, 1, 2, 3, we got 4 to go. This Exotic Destinations, not a great option. Anyway, 2 out of 5. Moving on, we will pick up Cosmic Runestone next. All right, so Cosmic Runestone IPA, India Pale Ale, Centennial, and Sabro hops in Juniper. Juniper could be interesting. 7.3% ABV. Once again, no IBUs listed on the label. That's that. I could have sworn at least Ruination would have them, but alright, whatever. Who cares, right? We're all about the taste, not about the technicalities. A discovery carved by hops. We often associate space with the future, progress, what's next, but in reality, any cosmic body you'd encounter out there is unfathomably ancient. Fucking tell me about it. Unfathomably. Just start watching any friggin' Science Channel stuff about space and it'll blow your mind when you really start to think about it. It may take cutting-edge technology to reach it, but upon discovery, you're immediately taken back in time. Bottles are clinking together as I shiver in the cold here. It's 64 degrees in this place, and I am not trying to heat up because it costs too fucking much. It's in this spirit we offer Cosmic Runestone IPA, a blend of historic Nordic brewing tradition, Voskvik yeast, and juniper berries. An American craft beer innovation, a healthy dose of Centennial and Sabro hops. Like the eons-old entity that is our watchful gargoyle, the Stone Brewing label, journeying through the infinite universe, leaving cosmic breadcrumbs and waiting to be discovered by a fortunate explorer. Today, that's you. Boy, I love the ego boost I get from every Stone Brewing label that tells me that I've got more balls, more chutzpah, and a more domineering spirit than most beer drinkers. They know how to tap into that energy, and they know how to fucking use words to exploit it, push it forward, and turn me on. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Are you? Fuck yeah. Read the goddamn label for Arrogant Bastard Ale and tell me you don't feel like the most superior beer drinker in the world after reading that and then drinking the beer. I know it's a marketing scam. I don't fucking care. I still love it. Alright, here we are. There's a nice orangey, slightly, very, very slightly hazy beer. It's got a very copper look to it. I would say with the orange in there tinging that look, I would call it copper. Copper colored, slightly hazy beer with very little effervescence coming up through it. The aroma's a little different here. I'm getting like this subdued yet intense citrus. Like there's this bitter citrus fruit rind aroma. Like when you get that white shit that's underneath the skin of an orange, that citrus fruit rind, the white stuff. There's a name for it, and it always escapes me. Banculum. No, that's a fucking Star Trek thing, I think. But when you peel off the rough skin of a citrus fruit, and there's that white, like flaky, dry shit that you can peel off, and it comes off in veins and in flakes. Yeah, gross words. But there's another word for that on a citrus fruit, that white shit. That aroma hits me up front It's unique. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then I sound like a madman. Not saying I'm not insane, but just saying I'm right about this. But underneath that, there's like this weird, intense burst of sweet citrus. So it's a very interesting aroma. Again, a medium mouthfeel. And that same weird citrus rind. Rind is not the word. There's a specific name for it when it comes to citrus. I've mentioned this in previous beers. You'd think I would fucking look it up at some point in the meantime, but I never have. So I keep forgetting it by the time the next beer rolls around. There's like this intense bitterness from that citrus rind type flavor. And it slowly fades out. It's interesting though that I'm not getting anything more crazy or complex than that. It just kind of flattens out. Again, a nice upfront overall beer characteristic and a hoppy bitterness that just fades to that citrus rind flavor with a hint of citrusy esters in the finish, but not anything too crazy. I'm going to hit this one with a 3 out of 5. It's definitely a nice above average regular old IPA, but pardon. It's not giving me anything new, different, or unusual, or extremely exotic to work with. It's just kind of there. It's good. It's good. It's not bad. It's not great. Pardon. Yeah, you can tell by that and the convulsions here that I'm trying to control that it is hiccup time, which means I've had too much to drink. Yeah, too much to drink with 3 more beers still to go. So we might be in some trouble here. But I will try to tamp them down, slowly move forward, and finish this out by the end of the night. It's not quite 1:30 in the morning yet. It's 1:24. So these guys have gone down pretty quick, honestly, all things considered. One every half an hour. Looking at 3 a.m. Might have to stretch this out a little bit longer, but we'll see how it goes. 679. Oh shit, there are only 3 left. Well, that explains a thing or two about why I'm feeling so drunk. Anyway. Three out of 5. I'm going to finish it up. We'll move on here. Alright, 3 to go. 3 to go. We might have lost a little momentum there. I might have nodded off for a minute or two because extra energy drink or not, I put the footstool on my recliner up and sleep snuck up on me. But we're going to finish strong with, next up, Sublimely Self-Righteous Black IPA. 8.7% ABV. Shit. I think this is one of the stronger ones in the pack. It is the strongest in the pack so far. Okay, with next up being Soaring Dragon at 8%. Fear Movie Lions was at 8.5. Ruination was at 8.5. Alright. So 8.7 is not too bad considering the fact that we've kind of had a slow down on the last three. And after this is downhill, so that's good. It's a good thing. Again, nothing about IBUs. I swear Stone used to put those on there. I said that after every fucking beer, haven't I? Alright. We're brewers whose substantial metal and idiomatic approach to brewing allows us to consistently create works of art such as this justifiably self-righteous ale. Its bitterness hits our sweet spot. Its blackness lightens our hearts. Its liquid dichotomy pulls it all together in this sublimely sacrosanct ale. Thus, the name we are compelled to give it, Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous Black IPA, serves as a reminder of just how good we are, in both liquid and verbal form. Both first brewed in 2007 as Stone 11th Anniversary Ale, this beer was an instant hit with us. Other folks with great taste loved it too, but we were focused on how much we liked it, and we felt it was truly sublime. That euphoria didn't last long, though, as it was soon replaced with the grim reality that when we were sold out of it, there wouldn't be any more for us. And that was simply unacceptable. So we now bless ourselves and you, the enlightened, with this ale. Thusly, you may now revel in your own self-righteousness as you see fit with this glorious example of ours. You are genuinely welcome, as it is our pleasure. Told you I love these guys. Here we go. Ooh, yes. For sure, by far the darkest beer in this pack, and dark it is. Look at that. No light getting through there. Well, maybe a little bit. I mean, you can kind of see a little tinge of brownness in where the beer gets thinner down here, the smaller part of the glass. Holy crap, we gotta stifle those yawns. Can't tell very much about how many bubbles are coming up through or whether it's hazy or not. It's pretty damn dark. Yeah, down here just a little bit of brownness, but other than that it's pretty damn black. Alright, so that's all we can really tell about that. Overall, an aroma of hoppy bitterness. Maybe some hints of pine coming through. Maybe. But overall, just a hoppy, bitter aroma. Oh, damn. Yeah. pardon. That's good. That's really good. Alright, we're going to do something about these yawns. It's a little late in the game, down another energy drink, so we're not going to be doing that, but... find some other way to wake my ass up. Yeah, just in general, a nice hoppy bitterness. But there's a nice roasty body to the beer. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel. Yeah, just medium. It's actually a lot lighter in mouthfeel than it looks like it would be. Just a roasty flavor. It's got obviously a very heavy malt backbone to it. Pardon. But just an overall malty, slightly roasty backbone with no particular notes coming through. And it's followed up after that initial roasty flavor. Like just overall hoppy bitterness. There's not any particular notes coming through on that either. I mean, maybe a kind of a hint of pine, but less so than I was getting in the aroma. It's sublime, and they have every right to be self-righteous because overall it's just a plain old good beer. But I'm not putting my finger on any particular flavor notes. It's just roasty and hoppy. That's pretty much it. We're going to nail this one with another 4 out of 5. Just a really well put together, overall above average beer, but nothing in particular jumping out at me that's distinguishing it other than the fact that it's so well done and delicious. It's fucking delicious. I mean, I've had other beers with a similar character, but it's just really well done. All right. We're going to finish this on up, and we are going to move on to another new one, Soaring Dragon Imperial IPA. We're going to stay awake because nodding off again would be a death sentence to this fucking review video. And, well, I can't start over because I did not buy a second one of these. All right, next up. Soaring Dragon Imperial IPA. As I mentioned before, this is an 8% ABV Imperial IPA / white tea. Oh, with white tea. Huh. This could be interesting. While on a trip to visit Stone Shanghai, a few of our brewers took a side trip to the famous Tianchuan, Dianshan, Tianshan, maybe, I don't know, Tea City Market to experience the legend themselves. They were blown away. Inspired, they began experimenting back home, learning how well the delicate floral qualities of these teas worked in combination with certain hop varieties. This Imperial IPA, loaded with white tea, is the result of that bountiful trip and the resulting experimentation. We love setting aside preconceived notions, yes they do, and celebrating new learnings and new perspectives. The amazing aromas and flavor profile of this beer are witness to the joy of experimentation and a testament to making time for side trips. Wow. That certainly sounds promising. Now, I've had some beers that have some tea characteristics to them, or have actively incorporated tea leaves, or tea itself in the brew. I don't know about famously, but that's the word that comes to mind. Tiesta Tea and a local beer company here in Maine, Shipyard, partnered on a couple of brews, made some really good stuff. So, this could go very, very well. Yeah, if it's not obvious, that little nappy poo has sapped a lot of my strength here and momentum, but we're going to finish this up. Oh, look how hazy that is. A hazy golden color. I am seeing some particulates floating up in there. I know, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to... I've been getting this closer to the camera before, but I'm also trying not to knock over my little pyramid going here. It's a little more difficult with 12 beers lining up than 6 or 4. But a welcome difficulty. But yeah, there's something about this beer that's making it glow with that light underneath of it. Just a nice golden honey-colored brew with a bit of haze in it. Looks like some particulates and maybe a couple of bubbles here and there coming up through. So not greatly effervescent, but a few bubbles. Bit of a neutral aroma. Not getting much of a smell off of that at all. Maybe just a general hint of beeriness. Pardon. But nothing in particular. Well, we just got a wow, so right there tells us where we're going here. Nice medium mouthfeel. It's got a lot of body to it for such a light-colored beer. Right up front, there's just a general hoppy bitterness, and then a hint of grassiness that kind of fades for a second, and then there's this secondary burst of overall hoppy bitterness with floral notes, earthy undertones, and then in the finish, a hint of grassiness. But along the way, you're getting that roasty, I don't know about roasty, you're getting the is it the tannins or whatever it is that gives tea its flavor? Like this roasty tea-flavored bitterness, but a different type of floral that I'm used to from hops alone. It's definitely different, definitely interesting, and you'd never know it was an 8% ABV beer because the alcohol content is just completely covered and masked by the flavor, which is a testament to just how well blended that flavor is. I mean, sometimes there are a few breweries who will take a heavy alcohol ABV beer and they'll make that booziness a part of the flavor profile and find ways to complement it while incorporating it. Then there's other times when a brewery will make a beer that completely covers that high ABV booziness, and this is the latter. It has completely covered the high ABV booziness. There's just something different, delicious, and peaceful about this beer. This is a nice, relaxing, slow sipper. But the combination of the different hop notes with the flavor of the tea that's in there, they just complement each other so well. And that's a full 5 out of 5 from me. It's a bit of a moment of zen as we approach the end of the pack. I was going to power through these last 3, and the Self-Righteous Black IPA disappeared pretty damn quick. Holy shit. We made it, folks. It's after 5 a.m. Like I said, a little snooze cost me some time. But we're still within a 24-hour period. I knew this was going to be an overnight into the next morning. I just didn't realize it was going to be this late into the morning. The wife's knocking on the bedroom door, not in the living room probably, and we are about to finish off the 12th and final beer in the Stone 12 Days of IPAs pack. I planned on doing this as an overnight. I'm still counting this as an overnight. I'm going to post it as one review. We are doing the F+B IPA, 4% ABV. That's a good thing because after the rest of these, I need a little recovery time. Holy shit. When this is done, I'm going to fucking bed, and I'm probably sleeping for 12 hours, but who knows? Got some digging out to do from this damn snowstorm. I'm looking at the railing on my deck, and there's at least 6 inches of wet, heavy, and probably ice-encrusted snow out there. So this is going to be a nightmare. I am just blessed that this is the one storm that we did not lose power. I mean, when I used to live in town, I'm going to reminisce here a little bit. You indulge me after 11 fucking beers. We never lost power in the old apartment we lived in because it was up on a hill and the power lines were probably so hardened over years of losing power and wind. I mean, just to watch them whipping back and forth, but most of the trees were cut back. Anyway, we never lost power the whole time I was there. And I believe we lived in an area where we were on, there's a thing through Central Maine Power called like the critical lifeline services, where if somebody who has like home health care and has equipment that puts them on life support, they're the number one priority to restore electricity, obviously. Pretty sure we were on one of those circuits. But so like the rare cases where we did lose power came back on pretty quick. We were also in a highly populated area. Then we moved out to our own house in a rural area along a major road, but still in a place where power is going to get lost way more often. And we've lost it a few times through the years, a couple of years that we've been living here. Usually for a couple days at a time. And I know I'm jinxing myself here, but holy shit, did we get lucky with this storm. Usually when we're looking at the outage list and there's, 150,000 people in the state without power, we're on that list. We made it through this one. We're lucky tonight. is what I'm getting at. I'm lucky that I'm not finishing this up by candlelight because, like I said, there's only one of these packs in this house, and once I pulled the trigger on starting it, it wasn't going to stop. And that's also down to like timing and coordination with schedules and stuff because, yeah, I can probably pull off 1 or 2 beer reviews in a night, but it's a rare instance where I have enough time to do an entire fucking 12 beers. It's a rare instance when I have an opportunity to do 12 beers in one night because I usually don't come across these packs with 12 different beers in them. God, I miss Sierra Nevada's beer camp pack, and I hope they come back soon. I've got the call out on Facebook. Clink, 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 clink. And a couple of other places. I'm hoping to get a hold of the Clown Shoes 12 Beers of Christmas pack. Because as much fun as Stone's 12 different IPAs have been, I want that Clown Shoes 12 beer pack. Burp. Pardon. So we'll see what happens there, even if it happens after the holiday, even if it's like January 15th or February 3rd or fucking sometime this summer where the stuff gets shunted to the bargain basement places that I finally managed to get my hands on that pack. I will review all 12 in one night. But I've seriously segued here. F+B IPA, 4% ABV. F+B, I have no idea what that means. Again, this is one of the ones I've never seen before. F+B could be feet and balls, a beer for foot fetishists worldwide. Weird motherfuckers. Another segue here. You know what the difference is between a fetish and a perversion? A fetish is a feather. A perversion is the whole fucking chicken. Anyway. F+B IPA. Oh, gluten reduced. Super smooth. 95 calories, 2.9 grams of carbs, 4% alcohol by volume. Features and benefits. Oh my fucking word. Bill, if you're watching, which you probably are, this is Stone 12 pack. Features and benefits. You remember that shit? What's the difference between a feature and a benefit? A feature is what it does, a benefit is what it does, what it means for the customer. Holy shit, features and benefits. What a customer care mind fuck that whole thing is. Fuck you, Stone, for doing this to me and sending me down that memory road. Anyway, features and benefits. Per 12 fluid ounces, 95 calories, 2.9 grams carbohydrates, 1 gram protein, 0 grams fat. Average analysis. Crafted to remove gluten, this beer was fermented from barley, a grain containing gluten, and crafted to reduce gluten. Okay, same message we had on holy shit, way back on the Delicious IPA, I think. Huh. The gluten content of this beer cannot be verified, and this beer may contain gluten. You know what? Go back to that other beer review. I'm not going to go off on the gluten tangent again. Features and benefits. Honestly, yeah, I mean, throw the gluten-reduced shit out the window because I don't worry about that because I am not having to worry about gluten in my diet or lack of diet, as it may be. But 95 calories and 2.9 grams of carbs, that's actually not fucking bad. I mean, 4% alcohol by volume still puts it above most domestic American beers. Pardon. But it's a decent compromise. Michelob Ultra and those other things. There's some other good beers out there. Good being a relative term here in terms of caloric content and dietary whatever. There's some other beers out there that are going to be a little more restrictive, but I mean, this is going to be a Stone brew with somewhat carb conscious. I don't don't know if it's keto or Atkins or whatever friendly, but I mean, just reading the analysis, that's not a bad beer, dietary budget wise on the surface. So, and it's pretty clear, slightly hazy, but a very, very light yellow color to it, and somewhat effervescent. There's bubbles coming up from there. That's not bad. I didn't get a good head on it, but should have poured it a little more aggressively. But based on what I'm reading on the label, this is a lighter beer that's not going to bubble and foam up and really produce a lot anyway. Plus, reduced gluten. Let's be honest. That gluten's part of what makes beer foamy. Holy shit, I'm watching the light in the windows and the sun is coming up. We gotta finish this shit up quick. People are gonna be waking up as I go to bed. Alright, let's not dwell on that. Just a nice general beery aroma. No particular notes coming through. Maybe an overall hoppy bitterness, but pretty understated. Yeah, just an understated hoppy bitterness. Yes, I meant to acknowledge in the beginning, but I see it out of the corner of my eye. The hat's back. I'm just wearing this for the last video in this, or the last segment in this video. There's a slight undertone of a metallic tang, which is weird because we're going from bottles, not cans. But I'm getting a hint of metallic aromas. Like if you opened a less expensive, less refined craft beer can. It's got a light, medium light mouthfeel. So lighter than the last few we've had, but medium light mouthfeel, but it still has some distinct body to it. Definitely goes down smooth and crisp. It's got a general beeriness to it and just a general hoppy flavor. Not getting anything distinct. A light graininess, maybe a wheat. No, it's not a wheat based because they said right on the label it's made from barley. But it does have a very light grainy flavor, followed by a general non-distinct hoppiness. I mean, nothing in particular coming through, not any like grassy or piney or citrusy or anything like that, earthy or floral notes, just a general graininess followed by light graininess followed by a general hop profile. I mean, it's not a bad beer. It's just not a distinct beer. Pardon. I'm going to do this with a 3.5 out of 5. Again, as I said at the top of the video, 3.5 is not fucking bad. 2.5 out of 5 is average, so this is still a distinctly above average beer. At 4% ABV with the nutritional numbers that I listed before, F+B is not a bad choice, honestly, overall. Personally, I only do calorie counting. I don't look at anything else. I don't go into the whole protein and carbs and all that shit, but just calorie counting, it's under 100 calories per beer. So, skipping all food altogether, guys, we can do 24 of these fuckers in one day, and there's our nutritional requirements for the day. without going over our calorie count. And not that I'm recommending you replace all your meals with beer, but you know, it's a possibility. You could do it. It's basically fucking liquid oatmeal. Beer is a complete meal. I mean, they used to give it to Egyptian slaves as payment for their labor. Payment and slaves being, you know, relative terms, but, you know. Beer's a meal. Fuck you. That's the bottom line I'm getting at here. And don't judge me for doing nothing but drinking beer all day long. And if you're going to do it anyway, buy yourself some features and benefits, because that's a better option than a lot of the other calorie-conscious light beers out there. All right, so I'm rating it at a 3.5 out of 5, but bottom line is, if you want to be dieting and drinking beer, that's a great option, honestly. Drink a couple features and benefits, get your beer buzz going, and then work out the next day to work off the calories. You know, it's a couple hours on the treadmill will get rid of 3 of those beers. 4. Wait, I can do 200 calories in 1 hour, so in 2 hours you can do 4 of them. Yeah, easy enough. Anyway, my point being, it's a way more flavorful option for those of you who are trying to be calorie conscious on the beer than Michelob Ultra or any other garbage out there. 3.5 out of 5. And that's the end of the Stone 12 Days of IPAs pack. Sun's coming up. So's my wife. She's awake. She's been awake for like an hour and a half now and just eagerly anticipating me vacating the living room and crashing so that she has the opportunity to do her thing without getting in the way of my videos. She's making faces at me from behind the camera. I love this woman. We talked about it before. She was gracious enough, even though she was unexpectedly out of work today. And we're not going to go into details about that and symptoms and shit in this COVID time, because that we don't want to discuss symptoms. Anyway, it is what it is. She's mad at me for saying anything at all. Anyway,
you can edit that out too.
Maybe. Thanks for bearing with me, folks. I know this has been a long video, but hopefully it's been informative. Bottom line, the 12 Days of IPAs is a solid investment. Buy it. Buy it if you can. I mean, nothing in here other than this features and benefits has been below a 4.0 out of 5 for me, and there's been a couple of 5s.
You're
it's worth it. Yes, I know I'm rambling. Thanks for the heads up. I've been doing that throughout the whole video. Anyway, yeah, check it out. When you're done, hit me up down in the comments, the email link down there. Love to hear what you guys have to say about these beers. I don't know if that's coming through on the microphone, but she is rocking back and forth on one of our creaky floor panels just to remind me that sometime when it gets warmer, I've got to get underneath the house and see what I can do about dealing with it. Anyway, while you're down there, don't forget to like and share the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and then once you've subscribed, click on that little bell up there so you get notifications whenever I post a new one. Till next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm gonna go fucking crash for at least 12 hours, probably, maybe, who knows. I'll see what happens. Cheers.